Sure. Hey, good evening. This is HCU Alumni. It's Denise and I on May 10th, 2024. And we had a almost an explosive brainstorming session last week. And so we did a lot of divergent thinking. And as is always the case with divergent thinking, if you want to do some convergent thinking for some planning. I didn't mean to use that whiteboard there. Just a second. Let's see. I want to do the screen. There we go. Oh, and there's Sue. So let's do a quick check-in, and we'll catch Sue up to speed. Anything for the good of the team here, and we've got the recording on too. So just be advised. Watch your language, ladies, if I can say it that way. Anything new and exciting before we start exploring?
Yeah, sorry, I've been multitasking, but I did upload some artifacts to Basecamp to one of your conversations. So I don't know exactly where it went, but we can look at that. I was doing that instead of logging in.
And what did you put in there for us?
Some artifacts.
Nice.
You wanted some artifacts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. What artifacts did you put in there?
There was a just in Canva, a thing that had like one thing that had, it was an overall tip, and then I broke it in two parts, and then like a pre-tip and a post-tip. Hopefully I got the general tip. I don't know. And then my framework for my course. Just to throw that in there as a something to discuss. That's how I built a framework for how I'm going to do all my modules, basically.
For any course, or the specific course you have in mind?
I'm for all the athlete courses, they'll follow this. For a parent course, I'm only going to have like one parent course.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. One parent or coach thing. So I don't know whether it fits or not because the way it is, but anyway, it's for yeah, that framework. It's my proprietary framework of the way I'm doing the program that I'm certified in, because I've been adding to it and doing that, but I've got to keep certain things there. But I threw my own framework in front of it so I can distinguish myself.
Yeah.
Just the way I do it.
Okay.
So we can get to that later.
Okay. Yeah. So Denise, if do you want to summarize? Let me try to summarize what I heard you say as we were warming up, and that is that and I'm going to say this, I'm going to Denise right here, that in the perfect world, you've got a really strong base of a marketing plan. If I'm the entrepreneur that you're going to help, if I've got a marketing plan that supports my value add, that what you do is help people how to refine this. Is that a fair way to say that? The research portion of it, in identifying what the ideal market and clients are?
I
And the
teach, I teach a simple do-it-yourself process. And during the course, I do it with them. So I only take students who bring a problem to me. Like, I really don't know who my ideal target customers are. I've done surveys, I've checked out social media, I've done high touch research, and I'm still not sure who my customers are. And my signature course would walk them through them using their data and them then doing interviews with their customers to learn to be able to clearly identify and concisely describe who their customers are so that they can develop a marketing plan that fits their customer journeys.
Okay, now, what does your client know about themselves when the ideal client, when they come to you, what's their start point?
Well, that goes back to the flashcards that we did. The first time you and I.
Yeah.
You assigned me the artifact. And it's all there listed on the second flashcard, what they know. And where they are in the process and why they're frustrated. There's a lot of people who may never come to me because they already know who their customers are well enough.
Yeah, so pretend that I can't remember what was on flashcard 2 from 4 weeks ago. And give me a 30-second summary of what they know. Because you're describing your ideal client, right? And this is what you already know about your client, because your special value add is to help other people to find their ideal client. So eat your own cooking and just tell me in an elevator speech, in one sentence or paragraph, who is your ideal client? Because you already told me what they don't know. You told me what they don't know. I just want to know what they know or have. They have passion.
They have something that they are able to deliver.
Okay.
They have subject matter expertise and hopefully some sort of street cred to demonstrate that expertise in the particular area that they plan to teach. They have delivered results. They may have delivered results in previous online courses or real life courses or university courses or as employees or as volunteers, but they know that they can get results, whether it's consulting they're doing or online courses or coaching, and they want to grow their business of delivering what they know and the results that it can get in their
If their perfect client, if a perfect client walked into their office, they would know, aha, I know exactly what to do.
They might not know how to sell that perfect client because they might
because
not
if they
even,
don't know
they
who the
might
client
not
is,
even
right?
Exactly.
So,
And
but do they
we
have
all
generic,
look alike.
do they have natural client communication skills? Now, are they looking to, does it matter if they're trying to just create a product for sales, or do they have to engage in a personal way to give service? Does that matter to what you're going to teach them?
No, it can be used for products or services. It's been
Okay.
used to apply to just about
Okay.
everything.
So they really don't, it's not necessary that they have specific client service skills, only that they have delivered.
Maybe it's a new pen. Maybe it's a new magic pen. Maybe it's new microscope. Maybe it's a new water treatment system that they've come up with. Maybe they've innovated in a product space.
So it's unique enough, a unique enough value add. So they already have, if it's me, my product and service, that part of the equation is done But what they don't have is this part. They don't know yet exactly what's going to be the use of
It's
that
prob-
potential service.
It's probably not done, but they have an
Yeah.
MVP, a minimum viable product or a minimum viable offer, because I use offer instead of product and service, and having to repeat that.
So they already have that in hand. Got it.
They have, yes, and that will probably change, although
Sure.
not necessarily, based on what they learn by doing the additional market
Yeah,
research.
so we know that one of the things that they might have to do is an alignment check. Once they've clarified who these potential people are, they could take what they already have as an MVP and check it to see, does that really work for the people that I've just defined as a client? And it may not, so we're gonna have to do an alignment check on that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Where does somebody like me fit in that's somewhere in there, but I'm stuck?
Ken, I'll
Is
let
an
you take
ideal
that one.
client somebody that's stuck in there somewhere?
Yeah,
'Cause
I
I
think
figure,
it's the,
to me, that's my major problem, is that I'm just stuck, you know,
yeah.
along that way. So do you take an account of that?
Ken, I'm gonna let you take that one.
Yeah, I think, Sue, what you have is you have these pieces right here. You already have your products and services and all the supporting data and all the how to do your business. I think you've got all that, or so close to final production that it's like you're not trying to figure out what it is that you know that they should be buying. And I also think that generically who your market and clients are. Although to be
Right,
fair,
yeah, okay, yeah, I'm
so
beyond
I
that
mean,
first.
the athlete, the parents,
Yeah,
and then we
yeah.
talked about also, oh well, yeah, maybe the coaches.
Yeah, okay.
But
So this is,
I think where you are is just this piece here. That's the piece you don't have. Is the
okay,
outreach and
so her
connection.
ideal client is a bit before me.
I think so. I think if we said, look, like if you don't even know what your own content is, then you really aren't ready for who you're trying to serve and where they are and how big the market is. You sort of have to have
Right,
first things
okay.
first. And then the third step is, how do I establish a robust communication network and channel? How do I market? How do I contact so that I can do the things like acquire customers, or so I can locate them, acquire service, admin them, and support whatever,
Yeah.
the,
Okay, and this part is more of they're looking more at identifying,
yeah, I think this is
really
where,
narrowing down their client,
yeah,
their own unique value, their own, okay.
yeah, I think I think what Denise has is she has a pretty clear idea of the client that she wants has all of these qualities, right? And she also knows that what she can help them do is with the things that they lack, the things that they don't know. And that is how to precisely identify customers and the market they live in. And then what the kind of like a needs assessment, what do they need that you have? And then how do I establish the outreach and the communication in order to develop what's going to be that marketing plan? So I think if I've said that right, Denise's skills and value add is in being able to do the research to nail that precisely.
Okay, gotcha.
Is that a fair statement, Denise?
I do not do the research for people. My co-author Jerry did that. He made a very good living doing it for years. I teach
How to
people
do the research, right?
how to do it themselves. Exactly. The other thing is a lot of people think they know who their market is and who their customers are. And they base their business on what they think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then they start trying to sell it and they find out it's not working.
Yeah, they missed the mark. Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't have data on it, but I think that many of the large percentage of new product failures that are well documented are not a failure of the product. It's a failure in the proper marketing of that product because they don't really know who the customers are, what their jobs to be done are, and what would work to modify their marketing, including possibly parts of the product.
That's a big, I think, I see that as a big area to go into, the people that have created products and things like that, and then try to, courses and all that, and they failed. They don't know why. And that, I mean, that seems to me like a really big, maybe kind of buzzword right now, because a lot of people are taking all these courses and doing all this stuff on creating these products, and then they don't make any money, is because they didn't do that research to really nail down their prospect a lot better. I'm just saying that, to me, in a marketing way, that could be a way to get in a bunch of people that have that product, and they, things aren't going their way, as opposed to these ideal clients that have the passion, but they're, I guess, the same thing. They don't know their customers, but I don't know whether they have a product, that ideal client, and how much they have in the way of stuff. But, on the other end, it's like I said, it's people that already have the things. They've thrown some courses out there. They're not making any money, and they don't know why. And like I said, they probably picked the wrong target market, or they're not marketing the target market correctly.
Yeah. So they have expertise, and let's call it, that could product or service or whatever. And they have evidence that when a client comes in, they know how to get them to the next level. So if a person is close enough to being an ideal client, a good enough client, that you can help them, but the sales aren't happening. So why can't I sell it? So I think what you do is you teach them how to research in order to answer those essential questions. Who is my client? Where are they? What do they need? Why do they need my solution? And basically, how do I turn that knowledge into the plan that connects them, that basically define you're not teaching them that, are you? Are you teaching them the mode and method of making the contact to the clients?
No.
Okay,
No.
so
They
you're
will
not doing three.
Each
Okay.
of my, it is part of what they will learn. I'm not teaching it to them. I am teaching them how to learn from customers. And they need to have some customers. It can be done if you don't have any customers at all, but you need to have it's just a bunch easier if you have actually delivered. It doesn't have to be delivered in exactly the same form. Well, I only did one-to-one coaching and now I want to do an online course. If you've delivered it in one-to-one coaching, you have people who have been transformed, as Danny would say, have gotten results from your coaching, and they would be the customers you would use to do your market research on. So
let me ask you then, over in here, does your ideal client have to have clients already to do the research on, or can you take somebody who has all of these other things but no clients and teach them how to do research?
I choose not to, because it's.
Let me say it again. When your ideal customer, when your ideal client walks in your door, do they have a current customer list that's already working, or can they come in with a blank sheet of paper? Do they have to have one or more current clients
Current,
or
current
success or
clients,
past
no,
clients?
uh, past success, it could be something they did as an
Okay.
employee for 20 years, and they find
Okay.
out later, gee, there might be a market for me to do this on my own. And
Right.
they can go back to people they worked with previously and got results that are similar enough to what they're trying to get in the future. And it
Okay.
has been done on products. And in fact, this was an actual product situation where a client was looking into offering a new type of product that competitors were already offering. And they hired Jerry to go do the market research. And they hadn't even decided to go into this product yet. But there were other competitors who were already selling that product in supermarkets. And this is in our article. And so he did the customer case research on customers who had purchased a similar product, very similar product, same product category, from someone who was already selling it. So that is feasible. It's much easier, and I am focusing on solopreneurs, small businesses, small nonprofits, small organizations by choice. But it's easier to do it if you have people who have already delivered results. Maybe not in exactly the same online course form, but they know how to deliver results. They do not have to have the perfect email list already laid out that somebody's trying to get the exact email. But they have to have a history.
Is there
successful
like a minimum number in your mind of clients that they have had to have,
No,
or just enough that they're persuaded that if they could just find more people like that they could do it?
I don't know. It's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure it does because, you
Yeah.
know, I'm starting out in a kind of a new business. I mean, mine's different than what I've done before. My client's kind of the same, but I've not ever done anything like this before. So like you said, some of those things, yeah, there's a background of working with similar clients or something like that, but they just haven't like nailed it down perhaps. I mean, like you said, they got the passion and the product, but maybe they're not going out to the right customer. You know, I know you just said that they may have some clients from the past, or like you said, they had a job that they worked with clients that the corporation provided. Now they're out on their own. So they've got to really look at who they want to go to, because that could have been a cross section of people coming from a corporation thing into a, you know, their own, you know, they're going out as a solopreneur. And
Let me ask Sue this clarifying question. So you have some number of successful past clients where you've given them products and services so that they trust you, and that was good. In the future, what I just heard you say is you're actually thinking of maybe new products and services, different than the first set, but probably of interest to the same group of people. So maybe you're expanding your offering, going deeper, wider, longer, but it's the same basic client, but who has needs that maybe you weren't handling before, but you think there's a way to handle it now. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, well, in my past, all I had was a book and I did lectures.
Yeah.
And you know, so I taught and I worked with some athletes and groups at
Yeah.
places. Now I'm actually developing courses
Yeah.
with frameworks and
Is
you
it
know,
kind of,
all of
is it
that.
the,
So it's
is it fair to say then, it's the same content, but in new forms of outreach and connection that you haven't done?
yeah, generally it's all sports
Okay.
psychology. It's just, you know, different.
So
Um,
it's a new mode of delivery, if I can say it that way.
New mode of delivery. Yeah, because I've never done courses or delivered courses or
Right.
taught courses before.
But you're
But yeah,
building
I would
on a
say
successful
similar.
base. You're building on a successful knowledge and coaching base that you
Right.
know, if I can make the new if I can make the new mode work. So really the question is, does the new mode actually look feasible for the delivery of this course? Because the idea, I think, is that your old style worked, you know, 1-to-1 or 1-to-small, but now the new model could be, because of the power of the interweb,
Yeah,
you
now it's
could be
group.
reaching
Yeah,
many people with the new product and service,
correct.
but it's still
Yeah, because
based on the same.
I was pre-internet when I was doing
Yeah.
my stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So you're just doing one-to-many now, where before you were
Right,
doing 1-to-1 with only a couple ways to deliver the product at the retail level.
correct.
And you could still do that, but you're getting this extra outreach is giving you money because it's selling to a wider audience. And some number of them could also come into the other model where you're doing more 1-to-1 and coaching and all that. So what you're doing is you're expanding the outreach, and that is a income generator. And that's also, so if we were thinking of that as a funnel, you're expanding, whereas before you were down in here, they had to come all the way up into here where you could do one-on-one with books and coaching and all that. And now what you're doing is moving further back up the funnel. And so if I do courses and tips and whatever and online, that kind of stuff, I'm getting a larger population, some of whom are going to qualify to come down for my old school, but I can also monetize that extra piece up here, and that'll be self-sufficient and not take your time. So you're getting leverage with courses and IT to monetize that. And that's also given you a stream of more personalized coaching. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to get away from, is not doing any of that coaching. Way
Yeah.
too much
Yeah.
time
So
consuming, as you guys both know.
yeah. So in fact, what you're actually trying to do is shift where you are in that funnel to give your stuff to a much wider group, but with less time on your hands.
Yeah,
So
it's just been
make
20
once, use
years.
many. Okay, got it.
So yeah, it's
So
been
you want to
20 years
shift
for
your main
film.
effort. Okay, got it.
Maybe a little bit, a
All
little
right.
bit here and there, but
Okay, no, that's clear to me. Yeah, because one of the models that everybody else is pitching is they're saying, hey, look, the reason you want to do courses is because some number of them are going to want to come up here and be your high dollar value coaches at $25K a year, because they're big, busy business executives that need your magic secret sauce. I don't sense that's what you're saying. I think you're saying is, I'd rather give my material to 1,000 people with less time commitment for me than 10 people where I'm doing a lot of personal touch, which
right.
you then have to charge more for per head, because it's you only get 10 sources of income. So I'd rather sell 1,000 books at $10 or 1,000 courses at $10 rather than 10 coaching sessions at 1,000.
Yeah.
So reversing
Definitely.
that. Okay, I get that. All right.
So
So
some
now
of the
back,
don't know, see, I fit into, well, I don't know if I fit into any of her don't knows.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of saying that too, because well, mode of outreach, does mode of outreach mean things like social media
yes.
or
Yeah. Yeah. Because this
okay.
is where I think you are. I think you're in 3. I think you know exactly who those people are. Because if you take a look at our diagram last time, your diagram, I mean, it was with a little bit of stretching. There was a little bit of reframing where you said, hey, okay, it was, your model was like kids
Well, yeah, I'm shifting away. I've been
parents
working with the
and
coaches for
coaches.
all this time.
And then we
Yeah, and
talked about, yeah, if you gave them digital products that helped them personally, they could actually be talking to other kids. And then part of your hidden marketing plan is that kids could then talk to kids and parents could talk to parents and parents could talk to coaches about these high quality products and artifacts and courses that are just ready made, ready for people to drop in and start learning right away,
right, that's
self
why I'm
motivated.
focusing on the parents and the kids
Yeah.
because the coaches, as you know, have a lot of big egos and
Yeah.
just
Yeah. So
I've had
the coaches, in my view, was sort of like, hey, that would be gravy if it happened. I can
right.
see how it could happen, but
It should
that's not a
happen,
key
but
ingredient. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're teaching them actually how to have these conversations between kids, parents, and coaches. So this thing
yeah,
is, that's all good, but you're not trying to sell coaches to teach them how to talk to kids and parents. You're talking about kids and parents, and then peripherally say, hey, now this is when you two are united, this is how you both talk to your coach. But you're not trying to sell coaches on that model. I get it. All right.
well, I
So
know I've
where I
got
think,
that the coach is going to get part of the stuff. It's just I found that it's very hard to sell to the coaches.
yeah, got it.
They're a little, like you said, their egos are a little big and don't think that they need any coaching
Yeah.
in that area because they think I'm trying to teach them how to coach their kids. And
Plus, there's probably 100 more families. There's 100 families for every one coach. So for you, the low hanging fruit is marketing to parents and kids. Actually, parents
right,
and peripherally, because that gets into the B to P to C model that Denise talks about. Is if you have a product that goes to help children, but the patron, the parent, the purchaser is the P in the middle. So you've actually got to have 2 messages. You got to have the messages that you give to the kids on how to be athletes and what they can do so they're self-empowered and love the game. But really, to get that information to the kids, you've got to also pitch your product in language that the parents who make the buying decision for the kids. And then once you
yeah,
can
we
sell the
discussed
parents,
that
yeah,
today.
yeah,
We were on a Zoom call today, so Denise and I went through that again.
yeah. So that's clear to me. So I don't think you're not the ideal client for Denise, because Denise works with people that don't know this area too is fuzzy. They don't know who their ideal client is exactly and where they live and why they need the product and how many of them there are and what their persuasion points are. And she's going to teach how to do research so that the person who does know what you know, so you already know all this stuff in category 1 too. Also, I should say, because you know what your product is and your service, and you got plenty of you have plenty of street cred and a track record and a ton of tips and tools and products. You know what your unique value add is. You either have or are close to a minimum viable product to issue. You're a small business. So you have that, and you had some clients already, and you want more of those. So all of those things that Denise wants you to come in with, you have. But I also think you're pretty clear on who the clients are, where they live,
Yeah, I got all that
what they
down.
need, why they want it. And what you're really looking at is now, how do I make this connection at 3? What are the new modes that are, books are books, activating your old email list is that, but there's a whole bunch of other ones in here for you to be able to move up the funnel. There's actually some new things, and that's why the HCU was of interest to you, because their claim is that they can show you new methods of getting your info that you weren't using before, that give you the leverage to talk to 1,000 people instead of 10 people. Because I think if you had courses, books, tips, and tailorable services, you could talk to you could have 1,000 active clients instead of just 10, because the course does the management itself. It's self-scoring. They keep track of their own performance. You have some kind of performance where you can see who's struggling, so you could contact them if you needed to help them get through it.
Yeah,
Because you want them to be happy and successful. So what you're trying to do is focus in on this area, which is the delivery and management, how to service them and administer it, and then ongoing support. I
right.
think you already know,
Yeah,
like on the about the locate, acquire piece. That's what Denise is helping with, but I think you know that. I think you know where they are and what kind of message you need to give them. There's some details of what that form looks like.
and
Do
I
you
think
have the
that's where it
emails?
comes in. That's where the B to P to C comes in.
Yeah.
Because
I think what
yeah,
that's
The
where
devil,
the talking about the artifacts was important, because you need these new artifacts to be able to populate this stream of contact. It's got to be a new form of artifact. Go ahead, Denise. I didn't mean to
Right.
cut you off. I'm sorry.
the devil is in those details. That's the whole point of the research that I teach.
Yeah.
so that's what I said. Somebody like me could come along, besides the person that's already thrown some courses out there and couldn't find their clients. The others could be the ones that stuck because they are a B to P to C and they haven't been getting the right kind of training, coaching. They can't find that part of it. Now I know Denise doesn't go that much into the actual what you say and do, but there's got to be a little bit of, a step after the research, I would think, because let's say, yes, I've done the research and I know the benefits for my parents. I know the benefits for the kids. I also know the challenges that they both kind of have. The parents don't know what to say to the kid that's having a meltdown, in competition. So
Okay.
it's kind of like, then that's really the messaging part of how to deal with the B to P to C, because the B to C doesn't work in that situation is what that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah. So what I'll then say to Denise then, to shift back to you, I'm going to ask you what your process map looks like. What is your value chain is. If you had that perfect client in the before, during, and now after, if I gave you a perfect client and they look like this, they knew these things and they didn't know those things, then I'll ask you, after your treatment, which is after your treatment, what are they now able to do? So whatever that is, That's an artifact because you're going to tell them in your marketing pitch to them wherever you were before, if you didn't know these things or some of these things, by the time you're done with me, you're going to know these, you're going to know how to answer these questions guaranteed. Right? Isn't that what your value proposition is? You're now going to know how to answer all the questions that will make you a green check mark in area 2. You're going to be able to say who my client is, where they are, what they want, why they want it, and how they want it delivered, right? At some price point. Isn't that what you're going to teach Sue and me how to do?
If I follow you loosely, close enough.
What?
Well, was there something in there that I said that's not what you said? Because that's what I thought you were going to tell me to do. I said, I have all these things over here. What I don't know are those things. I can't answer all of these questions, but you're going to teach me how to do research in my market. I know sort of where my market is. I know the lake where my fish are swimming, where they should be swimming, because I've pulled fish out of that lake before, but I don't know where they are now because I'm putting the bait in just like I always did, but they're not biting. Why is that? Well, because I don't know exactly where they are or what
So I
kind
guess
of
what
bait
you're
works.
saying is on this don't know list, don't know the customer, the market, mode of
yeah,
outreach,
yeah.
something assessment.
Needs assessment.
So that's number 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you're asking her when they finish number 2, they've done the research to identify
Yeah.
all that stuff. You're asking her like what's next?
Yeah, because
Or
this little diagram right here described what that client looks like just before they walk into your office. Those are the things that they know and have, and then those are the things that they don't have. And they've come to you, and then you're going to give them some kind of treatment. I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah. You're going to give them some kind of treatment in the during phase up in this little piece right here. So this section before is all these things, what they have, what they know, and the fact that they're stuck. And then you're going to propose to give them some kind of treatment, but they don't want to know what that is yet. Although you want to tell them. What they want to know is, hey, after I take
what's
my
the
vitamins,
result?
what do I look like? What can I do after you've worked on me that I couldn't do before?
That
So,
transformational statement that Danny's always looking at. Yeah.
yeah. What's my payoff? I should work with you because why? What do I look like when I'm done? What is it that I can now do? Like when I leave your office, do I have a 7-step checklist that I just go through and crush it about
Ooh,
how to
that'd
do
be
the
good.
research?
Yeah, that'd be good.
So, I mean, is that what I have? What do I have when I leave your office and I'm fully trained from your process?
You have an understanding of who ideal target customers are,
Okay.
what they want, where to find them, and how to serve them better. It's
Wants, needs, location,
it's
and how to be
it's
served.
it's something you've already written someplace.
Right. I know, but I'm saying it again to make sure I get it exactly right. Because I
Well,
wrote it as answering the questions who, what, when, where, why, and how.
and that works much better and more concisely than what you just wrote. So
Yeah, if they both mean the same thing, then that means that I really understand it in two different ways. So you're not going to do that for them,
No,
but you're going to teach them how to answer their questions.
yes.
So that is my question is, you've already produced one artifact when this is cleaned up. You have the raw material. Now, whether you say it this way, version B, or whether you say it version A, you can answer all of these questions, for example, and then you would give them an example of a very clear customer profile. And that's where you could work with Sue, by the way, to see if she can answer those questions to your satisfaction. Let's imagine Sue came into here today and said, as a result of what we did last week, Denise, and I've done the research that you taught me to do, here is the definition of who, what, when, where, why, how. Is that what you're judging her on? Did she pass your test if she gives you a good answer to those questions?
I'm not sure do you understand this question, Sue?
Yeah, well, I'll say it again.
Yeah, I guess he's looking at, by the end of me taking your course, am I gonna know the who, what, where, when? I get that. I'm not sure I'm gonna know the how. I think that's where Denise is stopping her training on the how part.
Oh, the how to reach them. Are you teaching
Perhaps,
them where to
perhaps it's
find them?
there.
Are you going to teach them where to find those ideal clients that they've just
Well, that's a
defined?
different where. The how is, to me, the how. You've already said the what, when, where, why. It's the how that I think, because I was asking her before, that the how to me is, what do I actually say in my email marketing? What do I say on my sales page? And she doesn't go that far. She goes to identifying all those things that you have. So the what, when, where, why, I think all works. I'm not sure the how, but that depends on what definition we're looking at for how.
I don't do it for you. What I teach helps you to learn for
Yeah.
yourself, the who, what, where, and why.
Okay,
And
so I'm going to go back to my question. I'm
I
sorry,
don't think
didn't
the
mean to
how's
interrupt.
in there. Yeah.
Okay,
just
so
leave the
let me
how
ask
out.
my question again. When you've taught me what you proposed to teach me, and we both agree that the deliverables have been achieved, do I have like a one-page concise ideal customer profile, what they want and need, where they're located, how I can serve them? Do I have all of those so far? Or do I have what I think, or like, are you going to certify that list? Or do I have to be satisfied that I think I understand what I'm looking for? Do you trust that? Do you trust my knowledge in saying, yes, that's exactly who my clients are? Or are you going to say, no, that's not actually who your clients really are? Do you see the difference?
I am going to trust you to
Okay.
have found who they are. I am not going to say, I mean, I
To
might
independently validate it, right? Got it.
I might have some questions about some of the things people had come up with. Not everybody's going to be perfect.
That's an important feature,
But
or
I
an
don't
important
certify.
clarification. I got it. So when I leave your office satisfied, what that really means is that I now feel clear about my subject matter expertise and the clients that I'm going to find, because you helped me to get clear about what I believe I should be looking for. You're not certifying that, yes, that's exactly who your clients are, and here's how you reach them. You're helping me come up with the ideal client profile and ecosystem they live in and what motivates them. And now my final one would be probably a list of how I should contact them, but I don't think you're teaching me that. Is that correct?
I am teaching you how to learn what you can learn from your customers. If some of your existing customers, using the term broadly,
Yeah.
can tell you that, then you should know it because you should have
Right.
learned it from them.
Fair enough.
Sometimes they might, sometimes they won't.
Right. Right. The reason I ask it that way,
I understand.
the reason I asked it that way was because I'm going to use Sue as a case study. So 10 years ago, Sue had a list of working clients, and the way she reached them was books, in-person talks, and one-to-one coaching in person. Is that fair, Sue?
Yeah.
And now, 10 years later, and this was limited, let's just say that that was 10 clients. Or was it 100 clients? How many? What's the right number? 10 or 100? 100.
Let's just do 10. I mean, I worked with hundreds, but we'll go with
Okay,
10.
well, you have 100 people that you're going to, because Denise is going to teach you how to talk to those 100 people to get a profile of
Yeah.
who that future client is. But because where you want to be in the funnel is not here at where you can talk to 100 people through those models. You want to move out in here where you can talk to 1,000 of them, and you still want to sell them books, but now you want to give them courses and maybe coaching at a higher price point or some kind of efficient coaching. But like, you don't want to do one-to-one coaching because you can't service 1,000 people one-to-one. And you told me that you wanted to shift from here to go back up into this model so you could do books, courses, ebooks, or whatever, and then coaching one to many.
Right.
Now, the people that want this, now maybe the people from your last 10 years don't know that that's what they want. My concern is that, so Denise, you're going to teach her how Sue should conduct research on those 100 people.
They're out of the sport by now.
Yeah. But let's Denise, does that matter if those people are no longer active clients or no longer similar to the modern client? My point was that
No, they're
the things that
similar.
those 100
They're
people
similar.
are
I
used
just
to.
don't. I just can't go back to them. They're gone. I mean, it's been too long. The kids are old now.
All right, so
Probably
here,
having their own kids.
so my next question for Denise is, if what Sue has was a 10-year-old client list of 100 people, and only 10 of them are still in 10 or 0 to 10 of them are still actively potentially in this group of 1,000. Are you going to teach her how to do research on that small group to decide who the new clients look like? Or are you going to teach her how to go out into this new modern world and find ideal clients that are in the market for this kind of proposed services? Are you doing that for her? Or are you telling her, no, you got to go to your old client list, ask them what they want today, 10 years later, 20 years later, how does she find, are you going to teach her how to find the group of people to do the research on?
I am going to tell her the attributes of people who have been the most useful in the past and what kinds of things they can do. If you have actual past clients, even if they're now 50 and you coached them when they were 20, 30 years ago,
Mhm.
the ones that you were in many ways the ideal coach for will remember you. And they will remember what it was about you and what you taught them that changed their lives. And the fact that there's 900 or 90 or however many it was that don't, the best ones to talk to are the ones for whom you were like, wow.
All right. So
At the
in
end
the
of
year
rainbow.
2000, all right,
On
let
the
me,
other hand,
okay, go ahead.
as I said earlier, in the case where the project was, gee, should we introduce this new product at all? The closest comparable customers of a competitor product were the ones that were used successfully in that case. It's harder. You're not going to have been their pot of gold because you didn't offer that. But both, I've already talked about, both of those possibilities. But ideally, people who think you're the best thing since sliced bread and will go to their graves singing your praises are people who know what unique attributes you have that really
Yeah,
resonate.
I got it. So let me,
Let me ask one quick question though, because I
Go
had it before. You never told me the end of the story.
Okay.
When your partner went and surveyed those people that were buying other people's products. So did your client end up putting out that similar product or not? And was it successful or not?
He just did the research project for a company who was considering
Right.
introducing that. I believe that his client, the company that was thinking of introducing that type of product, decided not to go into that market. But
Okay.
that's like 99% sure of that. But
Okay.
But
Yeah,
what
like
he
you said, it was
learned
getting saturated by a similar product. There were
No.
already competitors.
I don't know why they decided not to go into that product line, but what was found was that the people who actually bought that type of product were buying it for was a really different thing than it was being marketed for.
Wow.
And that
But-
is not uncommon.
No, that happens, but that's odd.
I think the first artifact that you need then, Denise, is this. We went through a list where you told me your ideal client knew those things or had those qualities and features. There was that list. And then there was these things that they lacked, which was they came in with criteria 1 complete, that they had a good product, service, history, delivery, subject matter expertise, authority. And they had a fuzzy understanding of 3. They had some people in the past, but they couldn't answer the 5 W's and the how. And, I'm sorry, that was 2. And then 3 was, because they didn't know 2, they didn't know how to align the message with the potential client. They didn't know how to market and persuade, to acquire, to find and acquire those clients. And they can't start fiddling around with the techniques of the modes and models of communication because they don't know where to shoot the arrow. Right? They don't. And so what
Yeah,
you're
they have the
teaching them,
wrong client, then
you're
they're
going to
wasting
teach
their
them how
money
to
and their
answer those
time.
questions. Now, let me ask this clarifying question. That's what I was asking before. If we took Sue, we're going to check to see if Sue is an ideal customer for you. It's now the year 2024. In the year 2000, 24 years ago, her ideal client was 25 years old parents with kids that are 5 to 7 years old. And she was teaching them how to be good parents to good kids, to love the sport and how to do well in a healthy way, and how to talk to coaches about this sport that they love. And she did it with books and coaching 1-to-1. Fair enough, Sue?
Yeah,
It's now the year 25 years later, it's now the year 2024. And in the year 2024, guess what there still are? 25-year-old parents with 5 to 7-year-old kids, but living in the year 2024 who are trying to love this sport, which is and Sue's knowledge is still current to that. Now, I want you to tell me which population I'm going to conduct research on to figure out how to make sales to those people. Are you going to tell me to go talk to the people from the year 2000 who are now 50 years old and whose kids are out of the house about what the parent wants and needs are today? Or are you going to tell me to go find parents who are 25 years old with 5-year-old kids and ask them what they need? Which one of those two are you going to tell me to do? Because you're going to teach me how to do the research.
And I haven't dealt with anything that is that, a 25-year gap where there's been nothing in between. So I really don't know. You would have to start talking with the best you could get from either one of them.
Okay.
See
So
where
what I
I
was
don't-
asking you, what I was asking you about is this little piece right in here, which is the value add that you're going to give. You're going to teach me a process. You're not going to do the process for me, but you're going to teach me how to be proficient with the process of identifying my clients, which is ultimately, and what they want, which is ultimately these people. So you're going to teach me how to do things that I don't know how to do. So what I want you to tell me to do is I want you to next week to fill in this gap and tell me what your curriculum looks like. What is the process that you're going to do to me that persuades me that I'm going to learn what I need to know? Right? You're not going to, I don't want you to teach me that stuff, but you should be able to lay out some kind of steps of your treatment. You have some kind of procedure or curriculum or process that you're going to use to teach me what to do so that I can be self-sufficient. I think. Have I stated that correctly?
I've had the curriculum for a number of years. It's not in the form of an artifact that's shareable.
Yeah,
What I need to do is create artifacts that are shareable, whether it's for the who, what, where, why, when, how,
sure.
or whether it's for the curriculum and what we do on day one, or what those sorts of things. That I've had that laid out for quite a while. And I could dig it up.
Okay, because
but-
that's the piece, that's the secret sauce. You know, you said like your ideal client has subject matter expertise and knows how to provide goods and services. What I'm asking you is, do you have the subject matter expertise to fill in the blanks here for, which is essentially step two, which is how can I become proficient in identifying my ideal customer and what they would find persuasive. I want you to tell me, generally speaking, at the very top level, like the in a syllabus, you know, course M201 is going to, when you walk in, you knew these things. And when you come into M201, you're going to do these 4 steps. And when you leave, you're going to be able to answer all the questions, the 5 W's and how for number 2. So that's what I hear you saying, that you're going to be able, you're going to teach me this in this courseware, how to be self-sufficient in answering all those questions about my clients. That's what I think you're going to teach me.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the researcher doing it for me, but you're going to give me the research tools and skills so that I can do it for myself to my satisfaction. Because I know I think from my subject matter expertise, I can determine if I'm very clear on who I'm looking for. I don't expect you to be an expert in my domain. I expect you to be able to teach me how to do research on that in my domain. Fair enough? All right.
Yes, I'm teaching a do-it-yourself exploratory market research process. I am teaching you to do it. I teach it by doing it with you, not for you.
Oh, if you would,
I've
that's
said
what
that
I'm
for
looking for
20
you to say.
minutes.
Those words that you just said, you
They're
just
on.
gave me your value add. You told me what the course description was for the course that you're going to teach me.
They're in the flashcards. I told you a month ago they're in the flash.
Well, I know, but I'm slow and stupid.
Okay, well, no,
and I have to put it in my own words so that I can understand it. And that's how you know that I know, is because I'm finally saying it in my words that you know equals what you've been telling me. I'm just slow and stupid. Now, when you are designing that course, this is how you go from what you, the expert, knows to the end of the course when you're satisfied that the student knows it in their head. This is how you follow a recipe for that. You start with, we have a situation where I knew some things and I didn't know other things. And when we're done, I'm going to be able to be self-sufficient with all of these skills. Now, to what degree are you going to teach me? Well, I'm going to go to the Kirkpatrick model of assessment. And what I'm going to do is at least level 1. I'm going to self-assess and determine if I'm satisfied that I now know what to do and that you taught me what I need to do. I haven't done it yet. You are not doing it for me, but I'm very clear now. I'm no longer stuck on how to answer the 5 W's, because we said that was what I lacked, was I didn't know how to answer the 5 W's and the how about my client. Right? Right. Now, are we going to go to level 2 of Kirkpatrick? Are you going to assess my work to determine if the work that I did on what you taught me meets your standard of satisfaction, that you're clear that I know how to do what you taught me? So when I'm done, I think I've got a worksheet. I went through the process that you taught me on the 5 W's and the how, and I filled out the little blanks, and I defined who my clients are and where they are and what they want and why they need it and how I should probably try to reach out to them. That's my client profile worksheet. That's going to be an artifact in your course. I think that's a client profile worksheet. Let's just call it that for now. So
Well,
when I'm done
from
with
my
your course,
yeah,
go
from
ahead.
my understanding, yeah, she's not going to go to that level of checking my work. Let's say if I'm the client, of checking my work, for that. Like, I'm
Right.
not going to be able to do that with my students because the price point, that would
Right.
be an
I'm
extra
with you on
level
that.
add-on coaching if I want to see their worksheets and how they're doing and, you
I'm
know,
with you
that
on
kind of
that. What I imagine you're going to do is you're going to give me something that looks like that, or at least gives me a way to answer those questions in the way that you taught me to find the answers. And I'm going to fill those out with some words on there. And then I'm going to self-assess and say, am I satisfied now that I am very clear on who I think my clients are? And if I say yes, then I have done student self-assessment and you're satisfied that you've done your job and you taught me what the next step is. If I had this, I could turn that into a marketing plan and go after them because I know where they are, what they need, how they're persuaded, and I could pitch my product to them easily. I wouldn't be stuck if I could fill out a client profile worksheet that you taught me how to do the research so that I wasn't confused anymore. But what you're not going to do, I hear, is you're not going to then double check my work and see that what I wrote was actually true in the world. You're not going to do that because you don't have the subject matter expertise in my domain. Like you don't have knowledge of who the parents of gymnast children are. You're not going to do that. You're going to trust Sue's judgment that what she's done to her satisfaction is very clear. Have I said that correctly?
sounds right to me, right?
I'm looking for a yes or a no. Was I
Denise?
clear on what your deliverable was? Yours, I think your delivery is intended to stop here. Student self-assessment, that what you said you were going to teach me to do, I went through the process, I did it, I'm satisfied with the product, and your job is done. I think that's what the value proposition was. Am I correct in stating that? I think so. Because you're not going to assess the quality of what I put in here because you're trusting me to do it. You're not going to go to Kirkpatrick level 3, which is watching me go out and do that in the world and try the marketing plan and see if it works or it doesn't work. Like you're not going to give me coaching on how to keep refining that, I think, although you might as an additional coaching fee.
Yeah.
But you're not going to go to level 3, which is you're going to watch me put it into practice and see if it works. And like you're not going to go out and independently go to Kirkpatrick level 4, which is observing it in business operations. I think in your model, and this is a model that normally is achieved in college level classes, is that students take an after course survey and says, I'm satisfied that what she said she was going to teach me, she delivered, which is how to answer systematically the 5 W's and the how about my clients. If that's
And
the
I think
top,
that's what a lot of us do in
yeah,
almost all courses. That's
yeah,
as far as you go, unless there's some unless there's some group coaching or one-on-one, you don't go past that. I mean, that's like,
right. It's very, as you go down this list, to go from 1 to 2, 2 is very hard because you now have to hire subject matter expertise independently to determine if that plan is actually going to work. That's hard. It's very hard for the Army to do that. That's why they pay me $100,000 to check the logistics plans of our officers. They can hire a trained monkey to read doctrine to them, but they got to pay me $100,000 and a full-time job to watch them the quality of their final product to see if it could work. That's level 2. When they send me out into the field, to watch those guys after graduation perform those tasks, and I can determine if they can do it in the field under real conditions in order to come back to make adjustments to our curriculum, that's level 3, Kirkpatrick, and that's very expensive.
Yeah.
And we only get to that in a very small way. Now,
Yeah,
if
so what I'm saying is I think Denise's goes, like most of our courses, only goes through student self-assessment. I mean, we're not
yes,
promising any more than that. We're not
That's
doing
right.
anything more than that. If they want to pay for coaching, that's where they get
That's right.
more of that.
and that's why if I was going to pay for that course, I'd pay $500 for an 8-hour course, 8 contact hours spread out over probably 2 weeks, in order to get to level 1 satisfaction that I could identify my ideal client. Now I want to get into how you design that course, and these are all the potential artifacts that you need to know. Like you've already, like we know who the ideal client is and what they know and have and what they don't know at start. That's the before. And then during the course, during the lessons, you're going to do some things in the right logical sequence. You're going to take me through the steps of the tools and all that jazz. And I'm going to start filling out the worksheets in the right order and being clear and until we've got to the right level of clarity. And then when I'm done, you know what I look like when I have successfully accomplished all that and I can lead. So now what we're doing is simply saying, what does the course look like? And if your plan is you take me from here and you start with me there and you take me to here, then my purpose and outcomes, you already told me beautifully. It is to make me self-actualize in the tools of research to clarify my ideal customer to the 5 W's and H. And then we have sort of a list of expectations that here's how much time it's going to take, and here's the work you're going to do, and your standards are going to be Kirkpatrick level 1, and we're going to use some of these tools. Here's how we're going to judge those tools. Here's how I'm allocating the time and the sequence of lessons. Here are going to be the little checkpoints along the way to make sure that while we're doing the course, like if there were 4 chunks and 4 lessons, we would do a treatment 1 and we do a little after action review to make sure we really got it well. And now we're ready for 2. So we build in these little reflection points and then building, what do I do afterwards with all these materials that I've accomplished? So now I can, once I've got my broad blueprint of the course, I can go into the prepare mode and I can say, what does the faculty member have to have? What are the student, is there prep work the student has to do for each of these, let's just call it 4 lessons? What are we going to do during the conduct of the lesson? Is there any follow-up or after work that they have to do? Am I going to check that after they've done that work, or are they going to be the checker? And then this is when we execute, we talk about what is the mode of delivery? Am I going to do it in Zoom, GoToMeeting? Am I going to do it in a Facebook group? Are we going to fly to a city and do it together? What is the mechanism for the delivery of the course? How long are the lessons? How do I manage the time? What happens if an interesting question comes up? Am I going to handle it there, or am I going to defer it to later? We're going to have certain numbers of artifacts and whatnot, how we know when each lesson was successfully completed. And then we have some kind of final assessment, which is, how do I know that I got to the required level of output? So this is how you design a course map with individual lessons, and you start populating it with the things that you expect the students and the faculty to do. And from that, you identify a list of artifacts, things that I have to have, as here's readings and watch these videos and these blank worksheets and a sample worksheet and then some check, whatever it may be, discussion questions, a reflection journal, whatever it may be. As I start going through all these pieces, I start identifying the little chunks that I need so that I have the raw materials for each lesson. That's where my list of artifacts, that's the list of artifacts that we build as we start going through this structured approach to planning, preparing, executing, and final assessment. And if we've done our job right, then when I try to when I put that into however I'm going to deliver the course, is it Rizuku? Maybe. Is it always going to be live with slides and handouts in Zoom? It could be. It doesn't have to be in Rizuku or any online course management. It could just be live coaching sessions with slides and discussions. But when I'm all done with this, I've identified all of the artifacts that I need to build so that I can be sure that when they come into me, not knowing those things, and I do all of these treatments in those lessons, they come out of it to the required level of delivery. I think the first artifact you need as part of this is that is the statement that you just gave, which is, your like the syllabus speech. In this course, I'm going to teach you how to do these things, and here's how I'm going to teach you. Here's what that is going to look like. It's going to be X number of online sessions or recorded sessions with a Q&A, that kind of stuff. But what you got to come up with first is, you, the student, are in this condition. When you're done with me, you're going to be in that condition, and here's how I'm going to get you there. That's a one-page course summary flashcard, if you will. And pardon me if I'm lecturing a little bit, but this is how I design graduate level courses at the doctoral, master's, and undergrad level, down to individual soccer skills sessions for 6-year-olds. We follow exactly that model in every one of those. That's curriculum design. And it starts with this top level situation before and after. And then to what level of satisfaction, of what level of performance, to know if I actually delivered what I said I was going to deliver.
Right. And that model is also used with sports psychologists. And each level, again, is more money, like a performance assessment. Yes, let's see where they are, what their plan, read their plan of how they're going to improve their performance.
Yeah.
Observe them, actually go to their competitions.
Yeah,
and
if
watch.
you did that, then what you're, yeah.
Like if you're working with a golfer, what they self-assess, then what they were going to do with their plan, then you go watch them at a golf tournament and see how they do.
Yeah.
4 would be if they were on a team and there's 4 of them, then you'd
Yeah.
assess how the whole team.
So the difference between 3 and 4 would be at level 3, there is a scheduled performance game, like a scrimmage, where they know that you're coming to watch them perform those skills. Level 4
Right.
is you just show up at a game or a competition, they don't even know it, and you're just watching them from a distance while they're just behaving normally, and then you're watching to see if they did the things that you taught them. In 3, they know they're being observed.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me 1 second. I've been developing and executing courses also at the undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral level for 50 years, and I'm pretty familiar with what you just went through.
Then you could have told me that and said you don't need that. I'm sorry to have wasted your time.
Well, it never hurts to go through it again, but I'm just saying,
Okay.
I get this. And as both you and Sue said, my level is going to be pretty much student self-assessment. There may be some bits and pieces of things that I come up with that would be level 2. I'm not certain yet, but I'm definitely not going to be going to anybody's events, watching and doing the things that the advanced sports coaches do.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna need to leave. I think this would probably be a good time because it sounds like you two may have some more things to go into, and I can watch the rest of the recording when I get a chance. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I think so. So what I think, to me, in terms of bite-sized chunks, I think the next step is simply the before, during and after statements. That my ideal client comes into me knowing these things, lacking those things. When they leave me, they know these things to their satisfaction. And the way I'm getting, now you don't necessarily have to have the how of this yet, but you probably know that. You probably know if you're going to do,
Yeah.
or maybe if you are going to do like if you had to do this today, like if I suddenly decided, hey, Denise, surprise, you're on candid camera. It turns out that I am your ideal client and I want to start tomorrow. How would we proceed? And then you might say, oh, well, give me a couple days and I'm going to have you read these things before the next time we talk. And we're going to do a Zoom session and I'm going to lead you through a process with slides and good Socratic questions. And that's how we're going to proceed until you complete all of these worksheets or you've answered all 5 questions. And I would say, got it. We're going to do weekly Zooms for 90 minutes and I'm going to have some homework and follow up. And that's how we're going to do it over a couple of weeks. So that's about the level of fidelity on how. You don't have to do all this stuff yet. But if you had that as one artifact, that top level thing, we're able to derive all of these other things from that top level vision. That's the next artifact I think you need to have. I believe that what you're going to end up with is in some of these deliverables, you're going to have sort of like standard info briefings. Like one of them might be the P to B, or no, I'm sorry, the B to P to C concept. That's about a 15-minute pitch. Here's the theory. Here's an example. So you had some theory and an example, and now let's discuss. That's probably 15 minutes. The first time you do that,
that she's got, I mean, we talked about 3 good examples of what different things that fit that model.
Yeah.
Even though that's not her focus on this, but that would be one level of marketing, the B2B and the B2C that she'll, I guess, discuss in her while she's teaching them about discovering who their target is. Are they a B2B? Are they a B2C? Are they a B2P2C? Is that's one of the things they've got to discern in their what, I guess, or who. Or something.
So that whole discussion might end up being 60 minutes. And from that, if you recorded a full 60-minute session, as we did last time, we might be able to say, hey, out of that 60 minutes, I actually have 3 or 4 chunks. Here's a 3-minute one, here's a 5-minute one, there's a 15-minute one, and then there's a 20-minute one. I might actually have one master artifact and then 4 little components, and I could use those elsewhere. But, we can get to that much further down the road on how to do those things. But that ends up getting contained in the how.
Master class that just has to do a little bit about determining who your people are.
That's what I said today in the terms of the form of a workshop. And I really do need to go.
Okay.
Bye.
Hey, I'll get this hung. I'll send you the link to this.
Okay.
And we'll get that posted in the usual spot. And we made good progress today.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for putting up with my lack of people skills. That's the kind of the army in me coming out. So thank you for your patience.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if she, because like I said, I was uploading stuff and wasn't paying attention to the time. So, yeah, she and I